Hey, Teresa, Dennis again. It seems like a regular morning show here. Hey, I know you're going to pass this along, so I appreciate everybody taking time to watch this. So, this is where we left off. This is the estimate. I think I showed you this yesterday, where we can kind of actually enter in the min, the hours, and the days. At this point, we're going to use this same information a couple more times. One is come up here, and again, these are just ideas. This is not meant cast in stone, so if it needs to be formatted a little differently, that's fine. Um, But here's that operations report. Here's how many tons of asphalt they need to order. There's 8 men for 8 hours for one day, so we know the configuration of that. And obviously, one would say base, one would say paving, or whatever the other items are. What equipment we need, and I think there's something on the next page, and a couple other things. Okay, so that's the kind of goes to operations. At this point, operations would then come in here. They'd have that. I would export this to a service work order, and I'm not going to do that because I've already done this. I'm just going to go to the work order here in a second. So we'd export that to a work order. So I'm going to close this real quick. I'm going to go into work orders. And so here is that same information now put into the service work order. There's a tab here called dispatch. This is where the operations person is going to say, okay, this is scheduled for this date. If I hit my plus sign, I can change the date. So I'm going to set it for the 20th. These are the 7 people I want to send out. These are the 4 pieces of equipment I want to send out. This is what time I want them on the job. Again, it's up to you on how you do this. You may not need to put the times. You may just want to put the scheduled hours in here. Again, pretty flexible to do that. What we're going to do, and I haven't done it yet, but we can do is we'll create a report that'll have the job name, the job address, the job location, maybe a map coordinates, a phone number for a contact there, and then a list of these people and these pieces of equipment going to whoever your superintendent is or project manager for that job. So he now will have a piece of paper in his hand telling him what job he needs to go to, who he needs to grab from the yard in the morning, and what piece of equipment he needs to have loaded up. So that's what he'll be given, one piece of paper with all that information on it, and any notes that are pertinent to that job. He will have those as well. The next thing is, here it is. This is our dispatch board. This is our calendar, and I'm going to close this over a little bit. I'm going to open this up. Whoops. Here. Hang on, let me drag this open a little bit more. And so this is where the jobs are going to show up. They're going to be unassigned because we don't know who's going to really get those when we create that work order. And as that work order becomes scheduled, they're just going to take that and they're going to drag it over and say, hey, you know what? That's going to Frank, and there it is. That was only an hour job, so it only fills up the hour. Yours will be longer duration. Here's where this job is. I now can look at my schedule. Here's Carlos, here's Frank, here's Janet. I can now see my schedule out for 5 days at a time. It's going to close all these up. So I can see where people are scheduled, where they're going, what they're doing, etc. Going all the way through here. If probably never ever happens to you that you have this job scheduled for Friday and they call you and say, hey, forget about it. We're not ready for you. So I may take that, stick it right back over here on hold until they call me. And when they're ready, I can come out and drag that out and put it on another day. If I need to move to the next week, I do something like that. Oh, that's a month, I'm sorry. I just go a day at a time here. So now I have next week's schedule up. It's 5 days at a time. I have a custom report that actually shows the schedule for 30 days on a piece of paper if you want to look out that far. But this shows 5 days at a time. And then, like I said, as your jobs are awarded, they'll be dropped in here. And when they're ready to go, you'll just start dragging and dropping those to the proper person on the proper day. So that's the schedule. I'm going to close that. Again, the consultants may have some other ideas. These are just ideas that I've come up with by talking to some people. We now have this set, so we can set that up. So I'm going to close that. I want to go back into the work, that estimate real quick. So hang on a second. So remember, one of the other things that we can do here in here is I identified that I needed asphalt. It's 322 tons. I had the export button up here, so I actually can create a purchase order to buy that material. So I've already done that. And so now if I go into purchase orders, it should be my last one unless I did something after that. And so, yep, here's purchase orders to Shamrock for job 2040, which is Premier Paving, to buy 322.42 tons at $65 a ton. Okay. Key here is that's the purchase order number. It's 666677 is the purchase order number. That's where we're going to get those materials applied to. So I'm going to close this real quick. So at the end of the day, or the next, I would assume the next morning, somebody will have a stack of tickets from the job, and they're going to come in here. And I think you said you used the last. I got the 5, 6s in there. Yep. And then you use the last shipping ticket, so we're going to say that's 88, something like that. And yesterday we had received, let's just say 158 tons. Okay? That's what they received on that date with that shipping ticket number on that purchase order. And we can change the description. I'm going to save this real quick. I can actually print a receipt out if I want to attach to that last ticket so I know that it's been entered. I'm going to close that. I'm now going to go into accounts payable. Oops, accounts payable to invoices. Note this last invoice is now already in accounts payable. It's that invoice number, which was the ticket number. We'll have to come back and change that. That is the purchase order number that was applied against. There's your 150 tons, 65. So this is already in accounts payable in review status. Once somebody signs off on it, I can put that as open. It's now ready to write a check. But the good news is it's now job costed as of right now because I've received it in. It's now been job costed to that job, to the cost code that was in the estimate. So that material is received by using the material receipts option. So we'll require you to use purchase orders, but they're going to be simple to do, what have you. The next items you have is a bunch of miscellaneous materials, the paint and what have you. I think this will be the way we'll do it. It's inventory allocation. Somebody will just come in here, put a ticket number in there, put the job number in, the date, okay? It's going to be shipped. They're going to pick the part numbers, which we'll set up for the red, white, whatever color paints you have. They'll come in here and they'll say 9950 is the part number. It's a white paint. I use 5 gallons. This is the cost this is my cost. So right now I'm going to charge the job $60.65 for those 5 gallons of paint. Where's the paint coming from? It's coming out of the warehouse because that's where I put the inventory. The inventory is now going to be relieved by those 5 gallons, and I'm going to charge the job cost, the $60.65 on the material cost. Again, done the next morning, right off of the tickets that come in from the job. So I think that's everything we talked about. We've estimated it. We'll be able to print your proposal, which will look just like the one you have now. We can get to that when we get out there. We've assigned the men to the crews. We've provided the guy in the field a piece of paper, tells him where he's going, who he's supposed to take, what equipment he has to take. Again, hopefully you noticed, I didn't write anything. There's no pieces of paper here. Everything's in the system. Everything can be emailed or printed out. Those items, if you want to print those out and send those out, that's fine. Hand those out, that's fine. If you just want to email those reports directly to the project managers, to their phones or their tablets, you can do that as well. So I think we've eliminated most of the pieces of paper in your organization. Most of it is all going to be computerized. Again, always remembering if you need to, on this inventory allocation right here, when I did this, if I want to scan in the time card where that guy turned in those gallons of paint, I could scan it in and attach it here and have the actual document attached here as backup as to why he got charged for those gallons of paint. So I think I've covered it, Teresa, Suzanne. I appreciate it. If there's any other questions, please let me know, and we'll get on there. If we need to jump online one day this week, let me know that as well. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you. This is Dennis, and you know my phone number, so give me a call. Thanks. Hey, Teresa and Suzanne, Dennis again. So, hey, this will be a real short one. This is just on the estimating. Kind of wrap that piece up, and then I'm going to do another separate video for operations and scheduling. So I was able to add this in. So, and at some point you hide these formulas. You don't want them seeing the formulas, but basically they just put in how many men they want. So let's say this is eight men or 8 women, don't care, and it's a 8-hour day, and they're going to be there for 1 day. I basically drop that in, I calculate that, and that gives me my 64 hours, and that would be probably that's the paving. I could come down here and make this the base one, and I can do the same thing where we need. I think you had a smaller crew, 3 guys for 8 hours for 1 day type thing like that. Recalculate that, and now I have the hours. It's calculating out the 24 times 65 to get me there, and so we definitely can do that. And like I said, we would hide this column so they can't mess these formulas up. Or if they want something more sophisticated, we can do that. But absolutely, I can do that. So the next step I'm going to do is show you how I go from this, which is our bid, and open this up a little bit, where I take this right here out to now operations, and then operations to the scheduling, and then we'll talk about how we bring in the materials. And that's kind of up in the air. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to do that. I'm only going to give you a suggestion. When you sit down with a consultant and they really get into paper flow, there may be a better way to do that. But I did talk to 2 people, and this is kind of the way they think we should do it. So that's will be in the next video. So this is it for this one. Less than 2 minutes. So hang on. Be back with a new one shortly.